let's carry on. Guys, if this Teams doesn't work well, then I'll just switch to WebEx again, because I think there are limitations on chat if it's a guest. So there are issues going on with students connecting. Um, so I will. Okay, recording has started. Yeah, so recording has started, and I will just go ahead and let's go to IAM Identity and Access Management. Now, let's just launch that AWS. I think I was working inside. So this is Azure Labs that I was doing in the morning, Kubernetes and everything. So AWS, I'll go to AWS console. I'll just type in the um, in the search. I'm using actually Firefox here, but and Google Chrome is the best. AWS Management Console. When I go to Management Console, so there we will be getting. I'll just put that. Let's start our hands on labs. Okay, so we're connecting to the console, and well, I'm gonna try to sign in. I hope I have saved it and remembered it. Wow, seriously. Uh, Basically, I did put their casual class videos. Was it that, or I think I created a new one. Oh my God, seriously. So that's not good. I'm just gonna quickly go to the first lab. At the end of it, we were creating the accounts, right? Um, so it's in the chat as well, and uh, previous chat. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I forgot my account. Maybe it's in the first slide that I put there, but I must have taken screenshots of that. Um, because I created that account, and it's thank God it's in the video, but I forgot. So, are you logged in? Hopefully, you are logged in, and we can just start that daily chat. Chat posts. Issue boarding, manage issues. Okay, so this is still week one, and that's where I will be creating actually week two, week three as well. In fact, I'll just show you, and you can also access that. Hopefully, you're able to access this here in OneDrive. If you're not able to access, let me know. So it's 21 Jan 2023. Uh, so I'm also looking for the video. I think I may have uploaded that. Okay, so it should be the files. Should recordings. Okay, thank God. So that's the previous class video, and I'm just opening it on the other screen here. It's gonna ask me yeah, there's a sorry guys, so I'll just quickly grab that username password and okay. Please, what was the email? Oh, okay, casual plus video at videos at gmail.com. I think that was it. I think I had to create a new one because that was also new one. Sorry about that. I'll just click over all. Shazad 2021. Oh, Shazad AWS 21. Okay, got it. Shazad AWS 21. Okay, got it. So I'll just put it here so next time I don't forget that. Day one, I don't need that. And day two, I'll just put it in info. Um, my Gmail or AWS. Uh, AWS 2-in-1 Gmail. Okay, and I'll put it in my OneNote as well. Hold on to info. There's a page that I always create for info, and yeah. Okay. Uh, so yeah, I got this, and I will just now try to connect with this. So guys, we need to connect with root user. We don't have to connect with IAM user. That will be created inside the AWS environment, and then you can connect. So I'll just go for Shazad, AWS 2-in-1 at gmail.com. Okay, and the password was the class password. Hopefully, oh yeah, okay. 6FY6M4. English language is incorrect. Okay, forgot password. Go, tell me. S2, S2DV77. Captcha is incorrect. Seriously? BQ5W7B. Oh man, serious. What's going on? What's going on? XNS52X. It's a capital X, I guess. Okay. So password is sent to this email. I'll just quickly open that email and get logged in. Get logged in here. In fact, I'll just go for Gmail here because it's a new email. And
Your voice is low.
oh, so guys, are you able to hear me clearly? I'll just speak a bit louder, right?
Oh, we're able to hear you. I think your audio is good.
Oh, okay. So you could I'm not sure who mentioned that actually. So you can just turn on your volume, right? So thank you for confirming that it's good as well. And I'm just expecting that email to arrive here so I could log in. Um, I'm always um, when I create an account, I put it in different places, but last class, I don't know why I did not do that. So forgot the password. Why didn't this come to this email? Amazon AWS 2-in-1. Because that's the wrong email. Seriously, it just logged in to the other one. Sorry about that. Mishaps. Amazon AWS 2-in-1 at gmail.com. Yep, yep. Okay. So it was okay. I always do that. Thank God. Okay, got it. I'll save it in the browser as well. So next time I don't have that. Not now. Just go. Okay, there you go. So web services, yeah, it says just put the password again. Whew, thank God. Uh, Okay, reset password. Ah, thank God. All right, sign in. Um, okay, don't save now, but I will be saving it later on the server, AWS 2-in-1 at gmail.com. Next, man, six. Is that a V or a Y? Ah, okay, refresh. F N 5B3. And if you had gone through Azure, it's not as pain in the neck as this one. So, yeah. So I'll just put that new password here. Thank yeah. Okay, finally in. So sorry about that. Now let's get going to towards our labs and understanding of the AWS environment. Here, once we are logged into AWS, so I'll keep putting some screenshots here to logged into AWS and starting the labs. Um, okay. Now, yeah. So once we are inside, what we need to do is first of all check that which region are you connected to, right? And last time we may have talked about that we when we connect to US East North Virginia, it has 6 availability zones, right? Each availability zone is just a big physical area, like you can say Toronto, Greater Toronto area, right? And suppose this is one availability zone, the Greater Toronto area, and then there is one data center in Toronto, one data center in Mississauga, one data center in suppose North York. So it's like that, right? So and half of Ontario could be a region. Or is considered a region by AWS. Now, why we're connecting to North Virginia and not to Canada Central? We discovered in previous classes that North Virginia has all the latest features, while Canada Central is missing some of the services that they offer, or all the advanced services, all pretty much all the services that AWS offers are mostly available in North Virginia region, but lesser are available in Canada Central. Not sure why. Maybe because it's this area, North Virginia region, has more business, much more density of customers and clients connecting, corporates connecting here, and less density of corporates and companies connecting to Canada Central region. So maybe not a lot of services are offered here. That could be the reason, right? So just make sure that North Virginia on the top right is selected. That's the first thing. Second thing is that it says here, welcome to AWS, getting started with AWS, training and certification, what's new. But we need to go to our most favorite place, and that is if you go to the top right here, do remember, you don't have to really memorize that, but just check that this is your account ID. But you need to go down to billing dashboard because we're going to create a billing alert. And what is a billing alert? Obviously, uh, uh, per month for 1 year, you are given certain hours and certain number of times you can use a service. We've gone through that in first class as well, right? There's that billing dashboard that we need to go to. So I'm just going to click that billing dashboard. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a billing alert, right? So why we are creating a billing alert? Because although we know that it's a free tier, but suppose you created a EC2 instance, which is called a virtual machine in Azure. Suppose you create that EC2 instance and you forgot it, forgot to stop it, which is not a very good idea. Then you will be charged after 750 hours in 1 month, right? So we know that. Uh, in case you get start charging by or AWS, so billing alert will tell you that, hey, I think you have something open or powered on, so why don't you just turn it off? Because they've charged 2 cents to you or 3 cents to you or 1 cent to you, right? It's still in cents. The thing is that we have to be bold and brave. Wow, bold and brave. So we have to really go ahead and implement all the labs to understand. That's the only best way to do it. Uh, to by learn by doing it, right? So where is the billing alert? If we go there, so this is Canadian currency that it's giving us billing, and total number of active services is one. Really, total number of active AWS regions, 3. So what we get is this, but we're going to explore that later. Highest cost. Right now, obviously, we haven't used anything. If I keep going down here, and on your side, if you're going down there as well, there are this area here, cost trend by top 5 services, account cost trend, highest cost. So they're going to tell you if you are going that way in terms of cost. So I'm going to go ahead and go to bills here, the on the top left, bills. And in the bills, obviously there is we didn't do anything yet, so there is not going to be any billing, right? But if we go explore, keep going down, suppose this service catalog East, US East, North Virginia, and US East, Ohio. So these are the two services, or these are two regions that we they could bill us if we create any resources here. Another thing you can realize, didn't I tell you that please put this region as North Virginia? Anyone can tell me why it is global? So anyone has an idea in the, oh man, the chat? Guys, maybe next class we're gonna connect on WebEx, but I'll let you know first. Because here in the chat somehow communication is not good. Okay, so what we are trying to say here is that um, this is a global service. Whenever you go to billing, or whenever you go to, there are certain services that are actually global. So for every region, those services are available, right? And there is another, if I go to services here and then go to all services here, just to have an idea, and then go to view all services. If I go there, so all the services are showing here. If I go down to security, identity, and compliance, so there's IAM, identity and access management. So managing the identity, which is username passwords, and access. So those username passwords have access to what services and should have access to or should not have access to what services. So this is the management of who gets what services and who is who, and everything. So if I go IAM here, if I click that IAM, which is identity and access management, so you can see that this is also global, right? So there are some services which are actually global, and there are some services which are regional. So if I go back to all services and then view all services again, it shows me all the services. But now I'm going to go to EC2 instance, which is virtual machines, creating virtual machines, right? If I click the EC2 instance, then it's not, it goes to regional, right? So wherever there are global services, you're not going to see region there. And wherever you have regional services, obviously, then you will see the region there, not global, right? So and that's what I wanted to explain. So I'm just going to go back to all services and view all. In fact, I'll just go to this side because I need to go to billing. That's where we were, right? So I'm just going to click and then go for billing. Billing dashboard, that's where we were. And in the billing dashboard, we had clicked on the left side, bills, right? So here, well, in the bills, we don't see the alert, right? So if you go on the left side, there's payments, there's credits, purchase orders, cost and usage reports. That would be interesting. And cost categories, cost allocation tags, free tier, billing conductor, and then it goes to Cost Explorer. So this is very important. Cost Explorer is that suppose you're actually planning something there in suppose you want to create 200 virtual machines, right? Or you want to create uh, five storage accounts, or you want to create something else. So the thing is that you can, before even creating, you can actually check that how much per month it's going to charge you, right? Okay. Budgets, it can give you overall budget of, oh, I want to create this service, I want to use that service, I want to use this service. You see that there are so many services, 100 plus services here, right? So budget alerts, it can tell you that whatever you're planning will cost you how much, right? Now, we were in the bills, but if we go way down to this billing preferences, right? Billing preferences. So I'm going to click that billing preferences here. And there in the billing preferences, you see receive billing alerts. There's also receive PDF invoice by email. So I'm going to select receive PDF invoice by email, receive free tier usage alerts. That's also interesting. So I'll just put my email. You will put obviously your email. Free tier usage alerts, right? And then receive billing alerts. So yes, this is what we want, that we want to receive billing alerts. Turn on this feature to monitor your AWS usage charges and recurring fees automatically, making it easier to track and manage your spending on AWS. You can set up billing alerts to receive email notifications when your charges reach a, this is a good thing, when your charges reach a specified threshold, right? Once enabled, this preference cannot be disabled. So what I'm going to do is, or what we are going to do that if you're following, then you can go to manage billing alerts, right? Oh, before that, we will have to save preferences. We selected two options here. So I'm just going to click that save preferences button here, right? Once it is saved, now I would want to go for manage billing alerts. So once we go to the manage billing alerts, um, and if it decides to open today, all right. So see this, this billing alert has brought us to another service called CloudWatch. This is a separate service that is responsible for monitoring, right? We were in the billing service, but instead, when we went to the alert, so it took us to another service called CloudWatch. So this is a separate service, CloudWatch, obviously, and billing is a separate service. They work together then, right? That's how they have 100 plus services. So it says you don't have any alarms, metrics, or default dashboard. Once you set them up, they will be displayed here. Now you can see here, set alarms on any of your metrics to receive notification when your metric crosses your specified threshold. So what does it do? What kind of threshold it crosses that you would want yourself to be sent an alert for, right? So I'm just going to click the create alarm. Let's click the create alarm. So when I click the create alarm, so this screen comes obviously inside the CloudWatch service. We are creating alarm. So I'm just going to create select that. And then it says select a metric. Okay, when do you want us to alert you about certain things? So when I click the select metric, then it says that what do you want to be alerted for? Now this is hmm, because we wanted to have a billing alert, and while this is more beneficial for if you have virtual machines created and you want alarms to be created for that, and not like alerts are different thing, alarms are different thing a bit. Still, if I go down to billing here, see this, there's billing. Now, if I click the billing, it says by service or total estimate charge. Do you want to be alerted when, the service is up or down, or do you want to be alerted if the charges goes to a certain threshold? Suppose you say that when it reaches $1, when it reaches $10 or $50, then alert me. It's up to you, right? So total estimated charge here, I'm going to click that total estimate charge. And then it says, oh, so do you want to give me the estimate and estimated charges, add to search, remove from search, search for this only, add to graph. So uh, here we're supposed to actually put, so I'm going to select that, right? And here, obviously, if it goes certain level, so there is that zero point 0.5 cents, then there is one. So obviously it's going to be $1 because it's a currency. So we can go for total estimate charge here and put zero point 0.5. And this means that if it reaches 5 cents, zero point 0.5, like 5 cents, then it will be sent an alert. We will be sent an alert, right? Okay. So that is the 0.5. I've written here as soon as it reaches 5 cents, it should alert me. 5 US cents. And then I'm going to click the select metric. I can go down here as well, nothing here. I'm just going to click select metric, and it says US dollar. Now there's editing out as well. We can do edit as well. Hey, it also goes to 0. It also goes to zero point 0.2. So whatever I selected, it can still, get to uh, even more, even lesser. So this is what I wanted to actually see, and that is static and greater. If the value goes greater than, now before I selected zero point 0.5, but then I see that in the next screen they have given even more options to me, that if it goes to zero point 0.2 cents, so am I able to put zero point 0.2 here, right? Yes, and you can see that there's a orange bar that has been created here, and if it is ever more than zero point 0.2 cents, then alert me, right? So if I go to additional configuration, there's additional data points to alarm is 1 to 1. Yeah, it's a 1 to 1 ratio we want. Treat missing data as missing. If there is missing data, then let me know that, oh, there's a missing data. So I can check also that what is missing and what is AWS unable to tell me at certain point. It will check every 6 hours. And if your bill is more than 2 cents US, so it's gonna send an email to you, right? Or in case in here, it's going to be me. I'm going to click next here. And okay, so there's that in alarm. The metric or expression is outside of the defined threshold. Well, it's the alarm send a notification to the following SNS. Now, guys, always understand that whenever you're working in the cloud environment, it's multiple services that are working for you, right? So there are multiple services that's going to work. Now, we have talked about first service, that is billing service, right? Second service is Cloud Watch service. And the third service is SNS, that is Simple Notification System. It simply notifies us either via SMS or via email or voice or Authenticator prompt. So simple notification service just lets us connect. So now it's going to be three services that's going to help us create this alert. Alert about what? About billing. And who's going to set it up? CloudWatch is setting an alarm for that. And who's going to send that? SNS service will send that. So then, yeah, we should know that that's how it is. Select an existing topic. We don't have an existing SNS topic or SNS notification alert. We haven't created yet. So we will be creating a new topic. They just call it topic, which simply means an alert to inform you that what's going on. Okay, so here, then what we need to do is that here we can give a topic. Yes, it is alert topic, but it is about billing. So I'm just going to add billing here. And email endpoints that will receive the notification. Obviously, you need to send an email. You have to mention that email here. So idguime@gmail.com in my case. You, if you're following, need to put your email that you regularly um, you know use, or in production environments in companies you will be using that email, which is like suppose for billing you will go for billing at and the company domain. So don't go for your name at company domain, right? Go for create a email dedicated for receiving billing alerts, and then obviously you need to keep an eye on that email. You can't simply forget that then. Okay, so I'm just going to click the create topic here, this one, right? Now we can go ahead. So here it says that, hey, do you have a alert for EC2 action, or EC2 is virtual machine. We're going to have a big lab on virtual machines as well. So I'm going to go down to next here, and then so it says alarm name. Again, there's a name that we need to give. So I'm just going to go for billing underscore alert. And I'm going to go next here as well. And now it says that preview and create. This means that, are you sure you want to put it on 2 cents and then carry on? Like, you want to change that or not? No, we don't want to change that. Everything is okay. I'm just going to click the create alarm, right? Now, this alarm, it says that insufficient data now, but it also is saying actions enabled. So obviously, it's going to take some time. Now, this, no, how it normally works is that it's going to send uh, an email to your email address, whichever you have put there. Although it says successfully created, but I think you should check your email. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and check my email. This is the wrong one, and I do not know why it is. Okay, that user, this one. So I'll check that if the alarm email has password is updated. No, I didn't receive any alarm email here. And this is, yeah, this is the one that I'm logged in from. When I receive an alert, what you used to do was that it used to send an email, and you have to click it, and then the alarm would be activated. But in our case, it is okay. It seems to be okay. Uh, so this means that we have, okay, yeah, it says okay. Now it does not want you to actually go to the email and click the link for confirmation.
I think you
Yeah.
gave your IT guy email address for the alert.
Uh, yes, you're right. I did not put that email there. Thank you for noticing that. Although it says still okay, but definitely, as you said, I should just check it out and on IT. guide me. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes, I got a notification here, subscription confirmation, and the notification actually looks like this. So I got AWS notification, sns.amazonaws.com to confirm the subscription, click or visit. Oh, it still says confirm subscription, so I'm just gonna click confirm that. So please go ahead and click the confirm subscription there. And then how it shows up here is like this. So if it is confirmed, it will say like that. It will show the page like this. I'm gonna close this, and yeah, our alert is okay. Although it used to say here as well, please go to your email address and or mailbox and confirm this, but oh, there's a warning here that the action sends a message to SNS topic with an endpoint that is pending confirmation. Oh, there you go. It does say that. So this warning should not be there. If it is there, this means we need to pay attention and go to our email and just simply confirm as I showed. Okay, done. Right. So if I refresh this one, yeah, there you go. Now we're good. So this okay is that it created the alert here. This okay, this is the final one. That's gonna say that it's working now. And yes, I will not be monitoring this email or the email connected to this. I would be monitoring the one that I mentioned there, right? Okay. So that's one thing. And now uh, we have created an alert, right? So I'll just put that here. That how to create a billing alert. Okay, this is done. For let's go for the next lab, which is IAM. Okay, so where is IAM? I've shown you. So I'm going to go to services, then I'm going to go to all services, and then I'm going to go for view all services. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to IAM. After IAM is a big topic, and then we're going to go for EC2. That is a much bigger topic. And so now you can go to IAM like this, like just go to the all services, or there's always a search on the top here, this one. So you can just type IAM there as well. So next time you want to come here, you can also just put that star in front of it. So once IAM is there, so you can see that on the top. So it appears at the top that whatever you're going to frequently use, right? Now here, I'm going to go down here until I reach the security and identity compliance. And here, so this is the area. And yeah, okay. So I'll just switch here. Yeah, now IAM, when we go there, this is the first place that you have to go, right? Why? Because that's where you're going to handle user groups, users, roles, policies, identity providers, account settings, it goes on, right? But obviously, the first thing that you face when you're creating some environment for the first time or managing from day-to-day basis is users and groups, right? So, and then roles and policies, who gets what access for how long and why. Um, so here, it as soon as we go to the IAM dashboard, there are some prerequisites or there are some standards that they need to meet, and they're saying that hey, add MFA for root user. You haven't created, or we haven't created an MFA or multi-factor authentication for the root user. Enable multi-factor authentication MFA for the root user to improve security for this account. Okay, yes, that's the most important thing. What is multi-factor authentication? That when you put username password to log in, that is one factor to log into AWS console. But there should be multi-factor, two factors. One is that you put the username password. Second is that a code should be sent to your cell phone, and that cell phone obviously is with you. So this means it is secure. Suppose somebody cracks your username password somehow and knows your username password, and that person is somewhere else and tries to log in. As soon as that person logs in with your username password, uh, an alert will come to you, or a text code will come to you as well in your cell phone. Obviously, your cell phone is with you, so that hacker cannot connect to your account even if your username password is stolen, right? Unless your phone is stolen and your phone data is also, and your phone access is also, some hacker has, then you're in trouble. But multi-factor authentication is mucho importante, right? Oh, okay, wrong Spanish. So I'm gonna go for MFA. So what I clicked here, I clicked Z's, right? And there is also account ID here. There's an account alias here as well. So we're gonna talk about that as well. But this is the main thing. We need to create a multi-factor authentication. And the way I like it is if it just sends me a code in my cell phone instead of me installing an application and then the code appears there for 30 seconds. But for that, I need to open my phone, open that particular application, and then put the code. So the laziest admins of all times, as I am, so I would like that, I don't have to log in or go inside my phone. There should be a text just coming right to me. That's what I prefer, but there are many ways to do this. I'm going to go for activate my MFA, which is not, there's no my here. Virtual MFA device. So there is that maximum 128 characters. First of all, you name it, and what is your multi-factor or second factor of authentication? Is it a virtual MFA device, authenticator app installed on your mobile device or computer? That's what many people go for. And then there's security key, authenticate by using a FIDO security key, such as YubiKey. So that's a third-party device that you can purchase. Also, even other hardwares that you can purchase, other hardware MFA devices. uh, for more information about supported MFA devices, see AWS multi-factor authentication. If I click that, but it says that, hey, even before you go there, why don't you just put a name there? Okay, so Amir dash MFA. You can go for your name, your first name dash MFA, or whatever name you want to give here, you can give. I'm gonna go for I'm going to click here, AWS multi-factor authentication, and it's a separate documentation here, which just explains to you then what is FIDO security key. Now, FIDO certified hardware security keys, right, are provided by third-party providers such as Ubico. Ubico is a company that provides this hardware security keys. The FIDO Alliance maintains a list of all FIDO certified products. If I click that FIDO certified products, so okay, then it goes for some long one. Biometric component, FIDO2, UTF, U2F, and all type. It does not still put that there, get the latest updates, participate in FIDO. We don't need to really see that. I was gonna go for some pictures here, but they want some forms filled here. Anyway, I'm just gonna close that. But this is just like you have that USB key or some other hardware, and then there are virtual authenticator apps. We're gonna just go for Google Authenticator app in Android. There is You can install apps for your smartphone from the App Store that is specific to your type of smartphone. Some app providers also have web and desktop applications available. See the following table for examples. So you can use Twilio, Authenticator, Duo Mobile, LastPass Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, Semantic VIP, right? That's for Android, and for iOS, you got pretty much the same list, nothing missing there as well. So, well, Microsoft Authenticator also works with AWS, while they are arch rivals. Still, Microsoft Authenticator works with them, right? But we can go for Google Authenticator as well. Um, I have for my company and for other courses Microsoft Authenticator. It's up to you. I can go for just Microsoft Authenticator, and that really shows that as well. What is that Microsoft Authenticator that we can use? Okay, so yeah, um, let's go for Google Authenticator then, basically, because then I can show you that I don't have that installed. Uh, Class till 7 p.m. Um, okay, so now I'm going to go for Google Authenticator, right? So, oh, where's my cell phone? Okay, my kid just took the cell phone, so I'm just going to take it back. So, I'm just going to get my cell phone and then come back.
No, what? Yeah, Amir bhai, no voice. Amir bhai, I don't have any voice.
Okay, guys, so let's uh, connect. Please, sir.
Oh,
Hello.
आपकी voice नहीं है, अब आ रही है बिल्कुल. तो क्या हुआ?
I just came.
Oh, अच्छा अच्छा. So I missed all the session. That is all recorded, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you give me a little, you know, a brief description of what you did?
We just logged in and then we create a billing alert, and then we are going for MFA. So I think you have to follow the video then when it is released and try to understand what's going on now. Okay, right. So it's we're creating MFA here, multi-factor authentication, and so guys, I got the cell phone now, but definitely when the video is there, you can then really follow it at your own pace, right? If you miss something. Okay, so I have a cell phone and I want to deploy here. So now we're going for MFA, which is multi-factor authentication, MFA, right? So before we create the billing alert and now MFA. So let's download in our cell phone Google Authenticator and then connect our, well, what happened to the, oh, wow. Okay, Google Authenticator, and then let's connect our phone to our root user account, the administrator account, right? So this is the administrator account, and we need to have two factors of authentication. One is username password, and the second is the code coming to your cell phone, right? So let's do that. Multi-factor authentication. Let's do that. Now let's connect our phone to our root user account. How do we do that? We go back to so we were on the billing, and then I went to services here, then I went to all services and view all services, and then I went down to security, identity, and compliance. Here, I'm just going IAM, or you can just type here IAM and then click it, right? So IAM, once we are inside the IAM, then I went for add MFA for root user, which is this add MFA. And then within add MFA, I'm just clicking activate MFA. So now I'm going to just click the activate MFA here. I'll just, yep, I'll close on the window. So there's one window, activate MFA. And yes, we're going to go for virtual MFA device, which is the first one. And I'm downloading Google Cloud, Authenticator as my MFA application, right? So what is the name of this MFA? So I'm just going to go for Armor MFA, or you can just type Google Authenticator here as well, Armor MFA dash Google Authenticator, right? Virtual MFA device. Okay, I'm just going to click continue. And now it says show QR code. Now, guys, on the device, okay. Um, oh, um, so I'm gonna download, and now I'm gonna share screenshots on WhatsApp, right? What I'm doing. So I'm just on my cell phone, and in the cell phone, I'm going for App Store. Then I'm putting here Google Authenticator, Google Authenticator, Authent, Google. Oh, I didn't say Google.
Can you share your
Google.
screen?
Well, it's my cell phone, but I'm going to put screenshots on WhatsApp now. Um, so Google Authenticator. Okay. Now watch your screen, WhatsApp, and it's coming there. So where is the group? Okay. So it is on WhatsApp now. Yeah. So I'm going. I think you have received that photo there.
The gray one, right?
Yeah. So Google Authenticator is the gray one, and the photo is in WhatsApp now. So we will go ahead now. I'm just going to first click that. Oh, it's downloading. Okay. And I have to show Face ID, I think. No, without Face ID, it's open now. And it's the first screen there that I am going to show there. So that's the next screen that I see. And from there, I'll go for Get Started. There's only one. And it shows me scan a QR code, right? Scan a QR code. So that's the third picture there on WhatsApp. And scan a QR code. Now, Authenticator would like to access the camera. It shows me that. So that I cannot share unless I press OK. Okay. And then it is asking. So on the screen, you can see on my laptop, I'm going to click show QR code and I'm pointing on that. As soon as it does that, it starts giving me a number here, right? As soon as I click the QR code, it starts giving me number like that, right? Um, and I have to put, now these numbers are coming for 30 seconds only. So if we miss that one 6-digit number, so six numbers we missed, then it's okay. Let it finish, and then next 30 seconds there will be another randomly generated 6-digit number. So I'm just gonna try to put that other number 67153. But you have to put two codes there, right? I have put one, and it's finishing now, right? I'm taking a screenshot of that because it's finishing here. I put an arrow sign there, and I'm waiting for it to finish now. Right? It's on WhatsApp as well. And the new number has appeared. I'm just going to type that number as well, 579042, right? And that's it. As soon as the other number I put on the code, and you can see the code on the screen as well. So I will now click assign MFA.
Can
And
I have a question?
yeah,
The setup your first account is scan QR code or enter a setup key. Which one I have to click?
the first one,
Uh,
QR code.
so
Once you click the QR code, then you select the screen QR code on your screen as well.
No, it
And
says allow authenticator to take a picture and video, record video while using the app only this time, or don't allow.
yes, allow
No, so which one? While using the app or only this time?
while using the app.
Using the app. Okay, now it's a box came like plus sign.
Yeah,
Place the QR code with the red lines.
yeah. So you
So
see the QR code on your screen. Click that.
no, there is no
So
code. It shows there
did you
is no.
click activate MFA?
It gives me
The blue button.
it gives me direct, scan a QR code or set up
Yeah,
a enter a setup key.
yeah. So scan a QR code. Click that.
I click, so it opens the, like,
Yeah, there are lines there, right?
yeah,
Random
lines,
lines.
yeah,
Yeah. So that you have to point on the camera.
on the camera, on my camera.
Yeah. So point your phone camera
uh
on those random lines.
no, Bhajan, this is not doing your process, like they open just like, WhatsApp code. You go place your box, and it, read their screen. It takes me right away there, place QR code with red lines when I
Hmm.
click that one on the top. So where is the red line within
No,
the red?
just place the QR code just like WhatsApp.
So I mean, where I have to do this on the screen?
Um, yeah, on your screen. Okay, I moved ahead and now I cannot actually show you. But on the screen, did you click activate MFA? This one?
No, I'm not doing any. I'm not in the lab.
Oh, then you can't. It's not just on the camera. I mean, you have to do the lab here as well. It's a together thing.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, okay, okay,
on
okay.
this laptop screen, you have to do and then camera. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then you can wait for the video where I'm showing all the screenshots, and you have to be doing the lab here as well. Then it will work on.
Oh, okay, okay. So all the time when you do this, I have to go through all this process, or
Yes,
just
on
one?
the laptop, you have to do this, what I'm doing, and then
Hmm.
on the camera, you have to do at the same time.
Okay.
So, okay, so here, now you can register up to 8 MFA devices of any combination of the currently supported MFA types. So, yeah, it's pretty much done. And there's that once MFA is done, we need to check it as well, right? So I have to go to top right here and I need to sign out from here because I need to check if multi-factor authentication is working. So I'm just going to click sign out here, right? And then sign in again. And I'm expecting now that the multi-factor authentication will work. Now, once I'm outside here, I need to make sure that all my windows are closed for AWS. And now I'm going to sign in again, sign into the console. And there's my username. And oh yeah, the YDYSS6 sub and mid. Oh, enter the directors and try again. Okay, I'll just refresh again. FW3DW7. Submit. Okay, now the password is there. Password was, obviously I cannot say that aloud. And yes, yay, the MFA code is also there. So this means that um, This means that it's gonna work. So what is my MFA code now? Oh, it's finishing. So I'm just using 133887, 133887. It just keeps on randomly creating more codes there, but MFA is working now. And every time I have to log in, I have to open this app in my cell phone. And when I put the username password, then I have to go to my cell phone and then log in. So now my account is C and Cure secure. Okay, so that's one thing. How to configure MFA? We needed to MFA on root user is configured now. Okay, let's go to okay. So let's get going or Boeing. Yeah. Now I'm going to go back to um, the other one services, and I'm going to go to IAM again, right? Because that's where we configured MFA, but there are many other things that we need to understand. What is IAM? It is identity and access management. So guys, when you have used some services and you go here to services, now you see that whichever recently visited services were there, they're going to be showing here as well. And also that I put the star here, so this means it's going to be mapped here. So we don't need to really search, go by going to all services and then show services. So I'm just going to click directly from here, or in the search, I can always write it down. Okay, so two greens are here. Root user has MFA, and then root user has no active access keys for now. Okay. Active access keys. What is an access key? So that is what I'm going to show you later as well. What are access keys and how do we use that? But basically, if you want to programmatically connect, oh, what is that? Program what? So suppose you go for there's that AWS cloud, and then you have the AWS cloud here, and you want to programmatically connect, which means that you have some, suppose Visual Studio program, or you have some um, from which you are connecting with AWS, or there is another um, storage application, third-party application that we will be downloading. It is uh, Blueberry, something berry. Okay. So we're going to download some applications. So suppose there's an application that connects directly to your AWS cloud and some service in the AWS cloud. Now that application would require access keys, and access keys then can be arranged. So where are the access keys in AWS cloud? That I can show, but which application later when the storage topic comes, then I'll be showing you, and I will be downloading a third-party application, and that application actually requires you to put access keys there. And that's just long alphanumeric address, basically. That is, okay, if I go to users, just to uh, oh yeah, root user. So I'll go up there. Let me just check that first. Security credentials. Okay. So access keys I wanted to show you, right? Now we will be creating more users and groups here as well. But I'm going to go up there and on the top right here, and then security credentials here. So if I go to security credentials, this should be security credentials of the logged in user right now. This is the email address, canonical user ID, AWS account, but and yeah, it shows MFA as well. And there you go, the access keys. Uh, the access keys can be created from here if you are connecting through an application to AWS, right? Then you need access keys, and at that time you can create. But if I click the create button, root user access keys are not recommended. Okay, so they're saying that, hey, you want to connect from an application, it's not recommended to connect from the root user, which has pretty much every right, all the privileges, highest privileges that can be there, right? So I'm just going to cancel out because I'm going to follow the recommendation, but that's where the access keys are created. And I'm going to be showing you with some other users these access keys, right? So I'm going to go back to the identity and access management, which is showing here, and we're back to the main screen. So now you can see two requirements are met, but update your access keys. Now, active root user has no access keys, and this is recommended, so it is green actually. So this means that we will never use the root user to connect from an application to AWS, right? We're going to use some other user than root. Now, update your access permissions for AWS billing, cost management, and account console. So they're giving some basic security recommendations here for us. We are replacing the following IAM actions for billing, cost management, and account consoles with granular IAM actions, AWS portal view billing, AWS portal modify billing, AWS portal view count. So they're giving set of um, security configurations for the root account, because if the root account is hacked, then obviously a lot of damage can be done by whoever the hacker is and has access to your root account. So they are saying that, okay, for the billing, we are restricting your root account to access some of the sensitive areas of this subscription, this account, right? So view affected policies. Before that, if I go further and try to read it, to ensure you don't lose access to AWS billing, cost management, and account console based features, update your existing IAM policies to include the new IAM actions before July 2023. Examples of features impacted include AWS Cost Explorer, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying that they're going to be actually changing some of these features, and that might result in your losing access to these features. So AWS billing, cost management. So they're saying that why don't you just change a policy already that is going to then block your access to these critical services. This is the third one. So we are replacing the following IAM actions for billing, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So when we go to policies, obviously, we're going to do this as well. But right now we can skip it. Yep.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
Yeah, yesterday I was reading question answer, interview question answer. They says, for the same scenario, they said if you for safe side you have to use for every roles, like if you need two uh, uh, permissions, so make a user for two permissions. Don't write in a one document two permissions. So don't try to log in like you are saying that don't make it a root user, and
Mhm.
every role you are going to work, create a new roles.
Oh, yes, exactly. The
So make
same
a new
default role
user
should
for
not work.
new roles.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, okay, guys, here, let's try to go ahead and further configure. Now, on the right side, first we went through the three main recommendations by AWS IAM dashboard or Identity and Access Management dashboard. Now, on the right side, we see account alias, and there we will be creating. Now, there's a number given here, right? Instead of a number, we can give it a company friendly name as well, or some kind of name that lets us know that, oh, this is our company's AWS console and not somebody else's, some other company's AWS console. So what we're going to do is we're going to click create here, and we can actually give it some name. Suppose okay, my this cloud engineers academy, so I can just give here, oh, it's I think yeah, cloud dash engineers dash academy. So you can give some company name here, and or maybe I can just give AWS 2-in-1. So when you are logging in, when your users are logging in, they will see this name, whatever name you give. Obviously, you will try to give here a company name or something that the employees of your company who are logging into IAM or AWS basically, they will see and they see that, oh yeah, this is our company's AWS console because of this name, right? IAM users will still be able to use the default URL containing the AWS ID. So yeah, they will still be able to use the number-based ID or identification of your AWS account. Okay, so I'm just going to change that, save changes. And so this is the name that is showing there. What I can do is I'll just try to log out and log in again just to see that is it showing right away, or you can see this ID here as well, the same ID that is here, right? Same ID there. Yeah. So if it during login, if it does not show, then we're going to create now users. And then from users, we're going to log in and then it should show, but let's just check it out. So I'm just going to sign out from here and go sign in the console. Root user, if I, so see this, if I click IAM user, then I have to have IAM user, which I didn't create, right? So I'm gonna just stick to root user because the next lab we're gonna do, that will then let us see that alias that we created, right? So I'm just gonna stick to root user here. Next, now it 2M4S28 sub and mid. The password, and oh man, seriously, it does not offer at all the text based access. Microsoft does that. 81895. Okay, so yeah, I didn't show that alias, but when we create a user, it will show that. So let's go to the users then. Now you can see that recently visited is actually showing on the that dashboard here as well as soon as we log in. So I don't have to go to all services and then go there. I'm just going to click that IAM from here directly. So let's go ahead. Once I click the IAM, um, so now I'm going to go for users here. So it says what's new here. It also says how many users groups you have, how many users you have, how many roles you have. By default, there are 2 roles, how many policies you have, and then how many identity providers you have. So right now, we don't have much because we haven't created much. So let's go to users here. Then we're going to go for user groups, although they have put that first up there. Let's still go to the users first. In the users, let's create quickly add users. And in the username, for example, yeah, your first name dash user 01, enable console access option. Now, is this user an end user, or is this user a developer, or is this user an administrator? It depends on that. And so enable console access is there. So what we can do is that we can. I'm not going to give console access to this user, right? Uh, Suppose it's just a developer that needs to go directly to a service or database and does not have to actually come here to the uh, you know console access. Maybe the user is just connecting through application to something, right? So for programmatic access, you can generate access keys after you create the user. Again, programmatic access, as I explained before, this is what? Access to some kind of application or program to some kind of AWS service, right? So it says that, yes, you can configure that anytime later as and well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click next here. And then it says that add user to group, copy permissions. We haven't created a group yet, right? So copy permissions. We haven't created a permission yet to copy, right? So that then there's attach policies directly. Oh, what is that? Attach policies directly. There is, okay, so there is that if we select this policy, so what are policies? Policies are group of permissions. Okay. So if we go for multi-factor, then we go for policies, group of permissions. And if we go back here, so you can see that there are like 1035 policies. Why there are so many? Because there are so many services here. And for each service, you have a read policy. You want to attach some permission, read permission only for some new users, suppose, or write policy, or modify policy, or delete policy, or create policy, right? So for one service, you have so many types of tasks to do: create, modify, delete, read. According to those tasks, you have permissions. So that's why there's so many long list of permissions here, right? Uh, does this user really need to be given a policy or not? So it's up to you. Suppose it's another AWS administrator that uh, joined your company, right? So you will be then giving some kind of administrator role to that user. Suppose I go for admin here. Now, pretty much everything is admin. So administrator, if I go for administrator, so there's administrator access, that is AWS managed job function, administrator access amplify. So they are giving, yes, we have administrator access, but for which service? So Amplify, that is the name of service. AWS Elastic Beanstalk, which service you actually want to give administrator access for? Oh, it's a database administrator, it's a network administrator, or it's a system administrator. So there is that administrator access, but you can also check that if you click the plus sign here. So what is this administrator access? What does it really offer? If you go for the XML JSON code here, JSON, right, which gives us the code in a very user or a human understandable way. So it says their version is this, that's when it was created. Statement is effect, allow what? Any action. So this action, which action? Any action. Star means whatever you want to do in across AWS, you are allowed to take all the actions, any kind of action on what resource? Just virtual machine or just storage, just networking? It says all here as well. So you are allowed to take any action on any service across AWS. So yes, that is the all out access that we see here, right? And this is something, so suppose I click that, obviously this user will be very near to the root user. It has all out access now, right? So we're going to create one user that has uh, administrator access, and then we're going to create another user that will have some simple access or no access at all to anything, right? So I'm selecting this just to show, we don't really need that, but just to show that, oh, this is a policy that has a lot of permissions, and that's how it is for pretty much every service, 100 plus services that are there. They have made policies, which is just a collection of permissions. Okay, I have given, or we have given this user, the user that we are creating, administrative all out access already, right? Now what we need to do. I can click next. There is also create policy, but when we go to policy, then we will create a new one as well. So I'm going to click next. And then there is user details. Console password type. So that user cannot log into console. That's not fair. If you have administrator access, why can't you just log into console? So we can go back. We can check that option of yes, this user can log into the console. Console is this whole dashboard, right? So I'm going to click previous. Again, can I go back here? Oh yeah, previous at the bottom, right? So yeah, if we are giving console access, which is the whole dashboard here, then we need to put that enable console access, right? And then either you can go for auto-generated password and show password or just custom password here. I'll just go for custom password, small ABC, capital ABC, shift123 without shift123, or you can give any other password. So this is the class password I'm using everywhere in throughout the course. Small ABC, capital ABC, keep pressing shift 123 gives us exclamation pound, at and pound sign, and then without shift is 123. Okay, so I've given a custom password to this guy, armor-user01, and now I'm gonna go ahead and try to, user must create a new password next time. No, I don't want that. I want this password to be given. Suppose in a production environment, I'm giving it to another user. Yes, I have to click this because that user should change the password that I gave because I know this password, right? Okay, so here I just want to keep this password. So I'm just going to click next. And yes, we have attached a policy called administrator access, which gives this user all out access throughout AWS. Next. Yeah, so there's a custom password here. Password reset is not required. And yes, there is a permissions policy, AWS management, job function. And then you want to add a tag that this is, so suppose we click a tag here, and then you can just put some kind of information related to this user. Suppose manager, and it is sales department, right? And suppose it's branch, then you can give Toronto. So you can keep on giving certain information here, but now we know how to use tags, right? Okay, and then click create user. You can view and download the user's password and email instructions for signing into the AWS Management Console. All right. Okay, guys, there's that one thing that we need. Email sign-in instructions. Okay, it will email the sign-in instructions to us, but this user can only log in, the users that we created, with this sign-in URL. So you can see that it has that alias that we created instead of the ID. Although if the user remembers the ID, yes, the user can connect through that, just the number dot sign in dot aws dot amazon.com/console. So I need to copy this information somewhere. I'll copy this and open the notepad. And yes, I can get this information emailed to me as well. I'm just copying this, the user, I know the password. Well, I'll just copy the password as well. I hope it does not copy the dot dot dot. Okay, there you go. So username, password, and the URL. That's one thing that I can do. Or download .csv. That would be better. So I'm just gonna download .csv. And once I download the CSV, I open that. Yep, it has all the information as well. I'm gonna go for user created successfully. That's it, right? So this means
Can
we're
I have
done
a
here.
question?
Yeah.
How
Yes.
you transport the username password to the Excel sheet? Can you show me?
I just click this button, so it downloaded. So I have a Microsoft Excel here, so it automatically opened here in Excel. So if it is not downloaded in the machine, then it will open in a text file. If Microsoft Office is downloaded in the machine, then it will open in Excel. Okay. So here, return to users list. And I'm just going to click here. So one user is created. Now what we can do is we can try to log in from that user. That user is not part of any groups. And the key access is not yet there for that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just sign out and sign in from this user now, right? But I have the information in my notepad as and well. Okay, so I'm going to sign out and sign in because now it's not a root user. So the sign in is going to be different, right? So if I go to sign into the console, I am not going to log in from root user. I'm going to log in from identity and access management user, right? And then account ID, 12 digits or account details. So it says, first of all, give me the account ID or alias. Remember? So we had that alias. So the whole ID actually, is it asking for whole ID? Either I can just put that in another URL like this, another page actually, another tab, and put it like this. So then you can see that it has already put that account ID that we were supposed to put in the previous screen, right? And then IAM, now that username. So I'll just alt tab and check what was the username. This is the username. And the password is this. Okay, I don't want to remember this account, so I'm just going to click sign in. Okay, so I'm signed in, and well, what I wanted to show you was that it doesn't look the same way as a root user. It shows actually the account ID or alias of the account ID and the username. So yes, then we know that, oh, this user belongs to this account, right? Um, because this user has administrator access, so this user can pretty much go anywhere and use any service with full privileges. O and K. But if I go to IAM after logging in from this user, which has full administrator access, so yeah, it shows actually more options here. Obviously, the MFA needs to be configured for this user. We're not going to really keep on logging in from this user. I'm just showing you how to create a user and log in and then give policy to that user. Update your access permissions for AWS. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it says the same thing, requesting the same thing that create an MFA and changes policy as well. Um, Also, your user does not have any access keys. Yeah. So through this user, yeah, I'll be showing you some access key usage as well when we download and install a third-party application that needs to connect to AWS, right? So then we're going to use the access keys as well. Well, right now I'm just going to sign out and sign in from the root user again. Sign out here. I think there are two tabs. I just want to keep it simple. So I'll just close that other tab. So we have just one way to log in to AWS. Okay, I'm just going to go for AWS, sign into the console. Now I don't want to log in from that user. So I don't need to give that account ID here, right? Huh. But yeah, this URL is so sign in from user. It says here, right? Sign in using root user email. So I don't want to use that account ID based login. I want to use the root. So yes, now it goes for root user and it's saved here as well. I'm going to click next. WCQ4M. Oh, didn't like that. Okay. YBN RBZ. All right, now we're good. My password. Oh, seriously, MFA. Man. Okay, now it is 728,653. 728,653. Now, once we are inside, now we can go for IAM again. So what we did was we created a new user and we gave it the policy, new policy, and we also gave it console access. And then we also changed the alias of our account to something understandable, more understandable than just the numbers. And then we logged in from that other user, right? If we go back here, so we have user groups. So we're going to talk about user groups and roles and policies and everything else. We're going to try to cover that. But let's take our break now and come back after the break and then continue with this. So I'll just put to that here break class starts 4:42, 52, oh, 5:05. Okay. Oh, maybe I need to check the time. Maybe we can take a break 5 minutes later. No? Okay. A little later, guys. Maybe 4:50 we can take a break, right? So then 5 or 5 o'clock. Let's keep going a little, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's create a group. It's pretty straightforward, but how it is done in AWS, we're going to just try to check it out. So I'm just going to go for create group here, um, name the group. So suppose it's marketing dash DEPT. So it's a marketing department group. Add users to the group, optional. So it also gives us the list of users. Attach permissions and policies. Now this is interesting, and it is also a recommended policy that you have to. You should be going for groups rather than giving policies or attaching policies to the user. You should be attaching policies to the group. And what's the reason for that? Um, there could be many users with different policies. In a large organization, it is kind of tedious to really keep a track of that. But when it's a group, so when you give a policy to a group, so suppose there's a group called administrator, and it actually has the administrator access, right? So you can add a user to a group. As soon as a user is added, the group, whatever the permissions given to the group, that will be inherited by the user as well. Whenever you want to remove the permission from the user, you just take the user out of the group. Instead of going to the user and then checking what policy to remove, policies should be attached to the group, not the user. That's the recommendation. Now here, that's kind of marketing department. If it's like it, we suppose marketing department, there's a developer as well, right? Or there's a DBA. Suppose marketing department DBA. So marketing department has database administrators, right? So in that case, you can go for, and now obviously they would want to have some database related uh, permissions or and policies. So you could just then give that database related policy, assign that to the marketing department developers because they are, or DBAs, because they are database administrators and they will be accessing databases. They would need full access or certain type of access on the databases. Now, if I go for just database, the word database, there's RDS that is also EC2. No, maybe it's DB with that. I'm just giving going for an example. It's not exactly what I'm thinking of, but RDS is related to database, relational database service, RDS. So it gives, yeah, this one. So relational database service, and that has a long, I mean, 7 or 8 mainstream vendor database like Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle Server, and Aurora and MariaDB and MongoDB. So there are so many types of databases there. So RDS, suppose this group is for developers or database administrators. So we are assigning policy to a group as a recommendation by or as a best practice, right? But yes, we can assign policy to a group, we can assign policy to a user. So it's pretty straightforward, nothing complicated here. It's not asking much from us other than, hey, you want to add some user or there's a user. So suppose there's a user here, not suppose, there is a user, but that user already has a all out permissions. So for now, we can create an empty group and then later we can add user to a group. So I'm just going to click the create group. This is pretty straightforward, nothing much here as well. Um, Now I need some users here and users as well. Uh, so I could add it to different areas here, right? So let's go to the users and add some more users here. I'm going to go for add users. Uh, Username can have up to 64 characters, valid characters. Before, older AWS console, it used to let us create multiple users at the same time. That feature is still available, but not in the default way. So if I go for your first name, user02, um, console access, okay, but an auto-generate password. If we had to log in, okay, I'll just go for the class password here, and I would say that don't change that password. So I'll just go for a random user, but I'm not gonna give it any permission, or I can just add it to a group. So you can see that when we are creating a new user, whatever number of groups you have created, in our case, just one. So they are showing here as well during the user creation if you want to add the user there. So I'm just gonna say that, okay, this user is a database administrator in marketing department. So I'm adding it, this user there. So this is the way to add it. There's that permissions boundary also as an optional feature. User permissions boundary to control the maximum permissions. You can select one of the existing permission policies to define the boundary. We have this. So maximum permissions, this guy can have, this is the purpose of permissions boundary, right? But we already assigned to the group of top permission of RDS, relational database services. That covers pretty much all the databases, the relational databases, not NoSQL databases, the relational databases. So that's why we don't need to give any other permission boundary for that. But if we had selected something that then you can't give any other permission other than what you selected here. That's the purpose of boundary. Like, don't give that user or group all out permission for anything, right? Or keep giving more permissions. So you can put a boundary by selecting whatever that is that you selected here. Then only that will be given, and nothing more can be given, right? Unless you remove this permission boundary thing. Yep.
Can you like uh, make it bigger, like 5% more screen closer
Mhm.
or
Well, that's my full screen here.
Oh my, the
You can take a
size.
screenshot of how you're seeing it there. You can share that screenshot with me. But here, um, okay, that's 10% bigger now.
Yeah, yeah, this is better.
Cool. Okay, here, so yeah, add user to group, and then there is marketing department DBA. So yeah, we have just created a second user that we are adding to marketing department DBA, and then we're clicking next. And then there is review and create. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. You want to add some tags. Now you know how to do that. So we don't really need to do that again, and create that user as and well. Okay, so return to users list. I'm just gonna click that. Oh, you don't you haven't viewed or downloaded this user's password. If you continue, you cannot retrieve the password in the future. They say that this is the only time we're going to show you the password information. After that, you will have to create a new one if you wanted to see the password, but you won't be able to see the current one if you don't send that email or copy it yourself or download a .csv. So I'm just going to click download here, and yeah, now I can return to the list. So we created groups, we created users, and then we can create roles as well. So I'm just going to click the roles here, and there are two roles that are already assigned. So what is a role? We already know that what is a policy? It is a collection of permissions. But what is a role? An IAM role is an identity you can create that has specific permissions with credentials that are valid for short durations. Okay, so again, IAM role is an identity you can create that has specific permissions with credentials that are valid for short durations. Roles can be assumed by entities that you trust. So it's just saying that you want to give a set of permissions to certain user or service, some kind of entity in AWS. You want to give some kind of certain role. Oh, okay. So this user can have full access to virtual machines or EC2 instances, or this user can have, or this user can be given this role, or this service can be given this role where it has full permissions to do anything with virtual machines or with databases, with anything else, right? So role is a bit more used for more specific scenarios, while permissions is used for huge amount of scenarios, and it's pretty much, yeah, you're giving permissions, right? But roles is specific to certain scenarios that you're giving high level of permissions to a certain entity, which could be service, that could be group, that could be user, that could be two services interacting with each other. Now when I say two services interacting with each other, so suppose there is um, a virtual machines or EC2 service. EC2 is Elastic Compute Cloud, or well, it's other name for virtual machine, but they wanted to make it as weird as possible. Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2. There are two C's there, right? So that's why. So EC2 service would like to interact with S3 service, which is simple storage service, which is basically you can upload files and folders to, right? S3 service. And EC2, so EC2 service will be given a role of full access on S3 service, which means that this is just one example of a role that two services that are going to be interacting with each other can be assigned a role as well. So one service has full access on other service. This means EC2 can create a folder in S3 service. It can remove a folder and file in S3 service. It can dump a lot of data in S3 service because you have assigned a role that gives this service full access on another service in AWS, right? Um, so yeah, so that's what it shows here, the role. But what we can do is we can just go back here and try to create a role. So an IAM role, yeah, it also says there's that info written here, right? So if I click the info, it then gives you um, a full example of that. And then there's IAM roles, learn more here. That opens another window here. If I go there, so then there's a full, detail of what roles are. I'll just put it as a good read here. Uh, IAM role, and obviously the link to go to. I'll just put that link here as well. Okay. And I'm going to go back here. So I'm going to close this. And then there's a create a role, that will become a little longer. So what we can do is we can connect at now we can just take a break. Before we start a role, because it's going to be a bit longer lab in terms of explanation, because I need to explain in detail. So now is a good time to uh, take a break and then come back and start with the longer labs now. So I'm just gonna take a break. Class starts 5:20, right? Muting and pausing. All right, guys. So, okay, let's continue. Um, and okay, now what we need to do is that yeah, we were talking about the roles, and in the roles, we were trying to create one role to understand what it is, what's the purpose of that. Also, uh, that it is used for specific environments. And I think, yeah, recording was going on all this time. Yeah. So let's create a role now. And the role, I'm just going to click that roles again, or users. I'm just going to go away from this screen and then come back here to the roles screen. And on the top right, we can create that role. Okay. Once we create a role, I'm going to click that. So it says that trusted entity type. So AWS service allow AWS services like EC2, Lambda, or others to perform actions in this account. So do you want any other service to work on this account with certain type of privileges? So that service will have privileges in this account to whatever it is attached to. Otherwise, these are services, basic services. They don't have much privileges there, and they are, kind of you give services the privileges, or you give some kind of attach a service to another and give privileges, then only they have. So otherwise, they are basically customizable service with no privileges. I'm gonna go ahead and click this EC2 instance. So common use cases is allows EC2 instances to call AWS services on your behalf. So I want an EC2 service, which is virtual machine service, to interact with another AWS service if I want that, then on my behalf. So I want EC2 instances or virtual machines to dump some data inside the storage account. And that is something that when there are projects going on, when there are multiple services interacting with each other, then this happens. But obviously there are limited scenarios in which you have to use a role. We're going for just some sample, or just an example. We're going for this EC2. Suppose we go there, and once we select the EC2, then click next. Now it says that what permissions you want to add for EC2. So just like the diagram that I created before, that this EC2 service, or that's the virtual machine, suppose, right? And this is S3 folders, S3 folder structure. And now this is VM. Actually, we should stick to the terminology. It's EC2 instance. EC2, right? Now I want some data inside this EC2 instance to be regularly dumped or saved in the S3 folder. S3 is another service that is storage service, and EC2 is a virtual machine. So two services want to interact. I wanted to dump that data in folder, but I want this EC2 service to work on my behalf to dump or copy regularly our data from this service to this service, right? So this could be an example of then you need to assign a role here that has certain permissions given to this service over this service, right? That yes, you have the rights to do this. You have the right to create a folder automatically. You have the right to copy stuff inside. You have the right to delete or modify any data. So you give an entity a service. Obviously, you have to put some code there, and that would really execute what you want to do. So if you go for add permissions here, then there is well, any kind of permission. So suppose I go for choose one or more policies to attach to your new role. Suppose I give EC2, just if I type EC2, press enter, and then you can see that there's a Amazon EC2 full access. So this means that all out access on EC2 service is given to this service. We can also search for S3, suppose. There is no, it's not gonna, really show with S3, Amazon S3, or um, maybe storage. No, but okay, let's just try to give some permission to this EC2 instance, and then we're not putting any boundary here, and then we're gonna click next. So the role name is EC2 full permission. So EC2 has full permission. Allow EC2 instances to call AWS services on your behalf. So description is still this, and then in JSON file format, which is the human understandable format, you can just check that this is what it's going to be doing. We will have to learn that JSON file format as well when more labs come our way. But this just is in a way that we can understand better or easily. So Amazon EC2 full service, yes, and some tags you can give here, which is just an extra information to really identify or search this service in a large company with lots of services configured. So I'm just going to click create role here. Is there something that is missing? Okay, so I'll just click create role. Oh, invalid name. Role name can contain alphanumeric characters or any of the following. Okay, so alphanumeric characters or any of the following. So no spaces. Okay. And oh, yeah, no, it's okay. So no spaces.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
I don't understand. When you switch change the windows, you don't let us know how you go to switch to the other ones, where you were or now, where you are now. Can you explain also?
This one.
No, when you switch the window, okay, after this is the first one, this is the second step, this is the third one. Did you get it or not? And I'm here now, moving on to this screen, stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay. So it's too fast. Like
Yeah, it's too
it's
fast,
too fast.
like you are doing by your own. We are new people, we don't know anything.
No, no, not all are new here. So there are some experienced ones as well. But yes, for new people, totally it will be confusing. If you're seeing obviously for the first time all this, then obviously it's going to be confusing. That's why I'm creating a video as well, so you can pause and then carry on. Whatever you don't understand, just rewind again, and then go ahead. But anyway. Yes, I will try to go a bit slower, but then there are very long list of topics here. If I go too slow, then obviously we won't be able to cover that in time.
No, I don't
So
want
I'll,
you to slow.
yeah.
I just, the screen should be bigger, and when you switch your mouse, well, the
Yep.
pointer. So okay, I'm
Next.
here, and this on this part, right top corner and left corner is this place. Now I'm doing this, so we can focus,
Oh,
okay, from, because we are not familiar with the buttons yet, the tabs yet.
okay, I'll try to do more commentary on that as well. Okay, but yeah, if it is more very confusing, then please do see the video as well, because at certain level I have to still keep moving. Okay, so I'll try to do that, what you're saying. So I'm on this page where it's roles and it's create role, and then there is EC2 I've selected here. Because yeah, I'm showing it, that's why, seeing is believing. then we can realize. And also, yeah, during the course, when you repeat the labs again and again, then you will be very familiar with what I'm doing and where I'm right now. Okay, so EC2, I'm just selecting that, and then I'm clicking next here. Then I'm going for the permissions, and yeah, the concept about permissions is yeah, we already talked about that, but this permission is being given to an entity or a service, not a user. Now, if I go down here and I go click next here, so then there's a next page which actually shows what we have selected for this service. And one of the labs, one of the future labs will actually show you that EC2 or virtual machine service is interacting with storage or interacting with another service. And then I will show you again that this is the role that we were talking about when we are doing the lab. But right now it's mostly the wizard, the concept behind that, and we will check it out or actually prove that how it really connects with another future lab that will use the role service automatically. Right, but what is role service? It is given to entities other than users. It and then those entities can work on your behalf to interact with other services. So if we go down here, so there's the add permissions, Amazon EC2 full access, and then there is that create role. So once we have selected the service, we have selected the permissions, then we are creating this role. So it's pretty specific scenarios where you would want this to happen, and you would be coming to use the role. I have clicked that create role, and it has actually used it. Now, this role will be used in one of the future labs where this service need to actually interact with another service, right? So then I'll again remind you that, okay, that role that we created, now we're using that with another service. So two services are interacting with each other with certain level of permissions is what role really does, right? Roles anywhere authenticate your non-AWS workloads and securely provide access to AWS services, right? So this is saying that authenticate your non-AWS. So what is a non-AWS workload? Or anything outside of AWS? For example, Azure is a rival company, and you're interacting with any of the service there. Suppose your storage here, some critical files here needs to be copied over the internet to another storage, service of AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, which are rival cloud service providers of AWS. So if you want to interact with other non-AWS workloads, then you can also provide authentication to the to certain services that are going to interact with or interact outside of AWS to another service. So again, you want to give services a permission of some type to automate some work, then you come to the roles. Temporary credentials is also one more thing. Use temporary credentials with ease and benefit from the enhanced security they provide. We'll be, I don't think we have any lab that goes for temporary credentials, like if it automatically expire after some time. So it's again about automation between services that you as a or your company's developers or programmers, they come up with a program that is automatically letting two services interact with each other, but they don't want it to be um, going for longer time. Suppose there is one service wants to copy data to another service, but they want it to expire after 2 days, the automatic copying. So they would give temporary credentials. Those credentials will change the password after 2 days, and the whole task will stop at that time. So basically, yes, that is role. but there is a lab that will be coming in future with a long list among long list of labs that will actually use this role as well. So if we go to policies, now policies, we already kind of discussed that before, that these are group of permissions. And if I go for info here, so it says policies are JSON documents, or the way the code is written in an human understandable way is JSON, but what is it? Its abbreviation. So I'll just show that JavaScript object notation is a lightweight data interchange format. It is easy for humans to read and write. It is easy for machines to parse. And so the whole information is here. I'll just, because this JSON or JSON would be used, this terminology will be used a lot. So that's why I'm just putting the information for you here as well in the slide, and I'll share the slide with you. What is JSON? And we will be actually making some modification in the code in JSON files, right? So I'm just gonna Alt tab and go back to that screen where we were. Okay, so when it comes to policies, we already uh, have an idea, but policies are JSON documents in AWS that let you specify who has access to AWS resources and what actions they can perform on those resources. You can attach a policy to an identity or resource to define their permissions. AWS evaluates these policies when the IAM principal makes a request. So IAM principal could be a user from a group, or a group has been given some permissions, or some kind of resource, which is, and when we come to resource, it's again virtual machine, it's network, it's database, it's all those are called also resource. So here, when we are talking about policies, we already kind of got an idea for the policy as well. I'm just going to click that policies in IAM and share that link in the slide as a good read. But I'll show you now about policy that is custom policy, which really explains policy more in depth than what we have discussed. So if I go back here, so here, um, now policy, yes, we attached with the users, Now, how about we create a custom policy? Okay, one policy is that you want to have full access. Suppose I go for, again, the example of EC2 and press enter, and this is full access, but there are some desktop support guys that are going to join the company, right? Suppose there are those guys who need to be given specific access, some EC2 or virtual machine related access, some identity or IAM related access. So suppose I go for IAM here. Oh, okay. So I have to remove this first. And IAM. So you can see that you can give a user just full IAM access, which means anything related to IAM they can do. And what do you mean by anything? If I duplicate that, so that's a lot of things actually. So if I go for, and the most critical, if I go for IAM service itself, so you can do pretty much everything if you give all out access. But what about if I want to give only user creation, but that guy should not be able to delete a user? So create user, reset password, modify a user, but cannot delete a user. So suppose you want to give specific permissions. So how do you do that? And that's where the create policy or custom policy that we can go for, we can do it from here. So I'm just going to go for create policy. We already know that, yes, it's a collection of permissions, and these are predefined policies. You can just assign. How to assign, we already do know that too. So when we click the create policy here, so it shows us visual editor, or you can go for JSON format as well if you know how to put all the codes here. But whatever we do in the visual editor, it's going to actually start defining it here as a code as well. And then you can still make some changes if you want to make some changes here. But it says here, okay, you want to create a custom policy. So how do you want to do that? I mean, which policy, first of all, you want to customize? So if I go for a policy that, is there some specific policy that you want? So suppose the desktop support guys need to have fewer permissions in creating virtual machine. So if I go for EC2 here, so there's EC2. I'll select that yes, I want to define some custom policies related to EC2, but I don't want to give all out permission to the desktop support guys because they're not administrators. They are level 1 support. Level 3 is the higher support, level 4, level 5, level 6, 7, right? The more you are knowledgeable and experienced in any technology, so the level increases. Okay, so here it goes pretty straightforward after that. What kind of policies related to EC2 you want to add in, what kind of permissions related to EC2 you want to add to this new policy that you're creating now, right? You can say all, but then why are you here? Because then we have EC2 full admin access as well, 56 warnings and all action. So I'm just going to uncheck that. That's not why I am here, to give all permission. So I'm going to check that. Oh, what is in the list? Okay, let me check. And oh, there's a lot of things in the list, just the list. So, and just for virtual machines, imagine then there are 100 plus services. This is just one service related to that. What you want to allow a user to do, what you don't want user to be doing, that you can. Now, obviously, these are names, and they may not really show what exactly they do. So then you can go for question mark here, and it pops up here, grants permission to describe the attributes of the AWS account. What? It's not still very clear. Describe. Okay. So then there is even some more. So if you click learn more there, then it goes ahead, but it's not really what how we were expecting it. I mean, like, it goes pretty technical, but in not a very human friendly way. It explains still the details, although we can extract a lot of details even from here, which is good. Now describe account attributes, describe account for your AWS account, describe attributes of your AWS account. Kind of things, looks like straightforward. The following are the supported account attributes: supported platforms, default VPC, max. So this, um, you know, this feature will show if you give this permission to any user, or this you add this permission to, uh, excuse me, to the policy. What it will show is this. What are the VPC? VPC is virtual private cloud, which is just a private network. So it will just show this much information. It will let user see this much information. That's what it's saying. And you can go down and in depth and check examples and the example JSON code as well. So it just, then sky's the limit of what you want to do. So suppose I go for, okay, I want that user to do this. Excuse me. So suppose I read all this and went through, spent some hours here, and I went for, okay, I want the user to actually see availability zones as well, because the virtual machine needs to be highly available. So their copies should be created in other availability zones. So the desktop support guys should know, should be able to see that how many availability zones the copies of my virtual machines are available, right? So you can go ahead then keep going down, and that's a pretty long one. I'm just giving examples here. Suppose they should be seeing regions as well. Suppose they should be seeing VPCs as well for the virtual machine. Suppose we have selected four, right? And you've gone through a lot and checked it. Um, so this is one. I'm gonna just collapse it. But now I know, I can see from here that I selected four. Then I go for read just for this service, that what you want to allow within the read, and for EC2 service only. So they should be able to read the password data because they need to reset the password. Maybe that's what you decided. And then console output. So what is in the console, or when we log into this console, this is a whole console, right? When we log into that, so they can get some kind of extra information. So you have to do your groundwork here, that whatever role the user was selected for, desktop support, but he or she knows a lot more, or desktop support, but he or she is a beginner, or maybe intern. So interning, they are still learning, right? So you can even go more stricter on that. So then you go for tagging. Oh, they should be creating tag, but they should not be deleting tag. Then you go for write. That's the most sensitive area here. What write means change, modification, right? So they should be able to not delete anything. So I'm not gonna give any delete permissions to those guys. But then there's a lot of stuff here that we can allow them to do. Then again and again, I'm saying that you have to just do your homework there. You can come up with certain permissions. There are many Google groups, the YouTube videos that show, okay, for desktop support, these permissions you should select, and then they discuss the reason as well. So it's kind of a lot of groundwork needs to be established first. It takes time, but once you come up with the perfect permission set, combination of permissions, then obviously it's pretty safe environment for even new joinees. And obviously they're on probation. So 3 month probation, 2 month probation. So you see that they don't mess up anything, right? So anyway, it is the writing which is the most sensitive. So what do you want? You want them to allocate hosts, allocate assign IPv6, or anything else, a route table, you want to allocate that. So suppose you went through all the homework, discussed with your boss as well, and then went with a final decision. But you can see that it's pretty huge list, and this means how in depth the flexibility is with AWS. And that's the opposite in Azure, Microsoft Azure. When you go for custom policy, uh, they have still only done completed policies for only 3 services. That is really, really amazing for me that there are 100 plus services they offer Microsoft Azure, but if you go with the same thing there in Azure, they only offer it customizing of 3 services only. So we are working on just one service, permission customization, right? And there are hundreds of those services with our AWS, and AWS has really completely done a lot of work on this. Okay, so suppose I chose some more configurations here. I'm just going to go up and close this. So I'm closing this, I'm closing this, and I'm closing this. So I have chosen from list 4 permissions, from read 2 selected, from tagging 1, from write 3. Now I'm still pretending that we have done our groundwork for that newly hired person. And then suppose you went for permissions management and then selected something other than delete. Okay, they can create permissions, modify VPC permissions, snapshot attribute, but cannot delete. Right? You've tried to be very careful here when it comes to new employees joining. Now, then first you selected the service. Okay, we want them to work on our virtual machines, but that's all they can do, whatever you selected here. There's action warning here. EC2 allocate host action requires one more action to provide full permission. So whenever you give a permission, there could be some dependencies there. Like you give this permission, you have to give another permission as well for it to work, for the first one to work at all, right? So it goes for that, oh, you have given one allocate host permission, so requires one more, and supported resource types, dedicated host, tag keys, region. So dedicated host is one more, I think, that they are saying EC2 allocate host, but where? Get grant permission to allocate dedicated host to your account. I think allocate wasn't right, I think. So I'm just gonna, yeah, there you go, allocate host. And what is this? Dedicated host. Dedicated host is in D. Um, D. That should be up. Delete. Starts with delete. Del. That's it. DED is not there. Okay. Maybe it's create dedicated host or allocate dedicated host, or I'll just uncheck that because I'm just giving an example. Um, just to go ahead and yeah. Then comes, first of all, you go for selective permissions here. Then you go for resources, specify instance resource ARN for the get password data and one more action. So now they're saying that, okay, you have defined some permissions here, and what else is supposed to be there? So I am going to, actions is the resources that I need to click. So I'm going to just click resources. That just opens everything again. But it says here, hey, you have you have been careful up there. What about being careful here as well? Oh, so what do you mean? What I'm saying is that you have not specified resource with the capacity reservation add error to restrict. So do you want to further restrict access on those guys that are newly hired for these critical areas of AWS as well? Now, these are capacity reservation is very important. You want to reserve, suppose you want to reserve capacity of a virtual machine. What is capacity reservation? For example, um, you say that a virtual machine, our EC2 instance will run for 1 year. It is hosting a very critical application, and its CPU should be 8 core, its RAM should be 32 GB, and it should be all throughout the year. AWS, Mr. AWS, can you please provide us 6 core CPU and 32 GB RAM all year for one virtual machine? So that is called capacity reservation. You reserve certain capacity and you want it to be provided all year, for example, right? Now, the new guys that are desktop guys, I don't think they have that kind of knowledge to really, or maybe they need to gain trust first by doing excellent job, and then we can assign them capacity reservation and all this. So they are saying that you want to restrict access to these things if you want. So you have to configure at least one specify instance resource and for get password data one more action. So they're just saying that at least define any one where do you want to put some restrictions on access. So there is this any in this account showing here, and when we click this question mark here, this question mark, it says represents a capacity reservation that reserves compute capacity for your EC2 instance in a specific availability zone for any user. So you're saying that from now on, these guys will not touch this, or they will have restricted access. Now, restricted access doesn't mean fully blocked. Restricted access just means there are some restrictions and you are not having all out access to do anything you want with this feature, right? So these are all the features of EC2 instance, and I have configured just one here that they should have restricted access to this. You have not specified resource with type this and add on to. So I can go ahead with, that, okay, this is where whoever is a member of this policy, to whoever this policy gets attached, they have restricted access to these all services or few services as well. So you are allowing risk, or you're just giving some kind of putting some kind of restriction there, right? So that's a pretty long list. So the thing is, when you're creating a policy in AWS, it's pretty much a challenging task to come up with a perfect combination of permissions to allow users to use certain features and not use certain features, or use certain features with lesser permissions, right? So some examples of that, yeah, we've just talked about but there are so many features. 2 years ago, it used to be very less. Now there's a pretty long list of things that you can restrict access to. Uh, okay, if I go here, request conditions. So what are the conditions that needs to be met um, for the users so they could really do their job? So first of all, you can say that whoever is attached to this policy, if they did not configure MFA, then they cannot connect to our AWS at all, right? Requires console users and those with temporary credentials to authenticate with an MFA device for these. So you have put a requirement now. And second thing is source IP. What is that? Source IP is that you can connect only from behind this IP. So suppose your branch is in Toronto and Toronto branch has an IP. So I'm just going to give an example of what is my IP. So this is the uh, public IP assigned to you by ISP, your internet provider, right? Uh, that public IP assigned to your branch. Our residential IPs, this is my public IP for my DSL router, but it will change very soon. If you go to your browser and you put this, what is my IP? So you will also not be able to, you will be able to see that public IP, but maybe in tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, it will be changed, right? So residential IPs, they keep on changing. But the branch IPs, the commercial IPs, they are all static because they offer services for which they need to keep the IP, the same IP there, because if the IP changes, the service may go down, right? So suppose I give my DSL public IP, and suppose this is the Toronto branch IP of my company. So then what I will do, I will just put that IP range here. Obviously, this remains static, right? It doesn't change for the branch unless we want to change it. Then we request and then they change, but it doesn't change. So now you're saying that whoever this policy is attached to must have MFA and should only connect from Toronto branch. Suppose that person is trying to connect to our AWS from home, so that IP needs to be either added here, or he or she cannot connect from home or anywhere outside of the Toronto branch. They cannot connect to our AWS services if it is source IP based, right? So, and you can give ranges of IP as well, or different IPs here. Now, this is overall, what we see here for AWS policy. And so now you see, first you have to select a policy here, a service here. So we selected EC2, right? And then second thing is, okay, wow, that's going to down. Yeah, this is what I selected, but it was not collapsing. Then the second thing about the virtual machine, we went for what kind of actions a user is allowed to perform. Now it shows what we have selected. From list, we selected this. From read, we selected this. Tagging, write, we selected this. Obviously, write should be more, but I just went for some examples just to show that how to create a custom policy and what to look for it inside. And then resources, what resources you want to restrict access for these guys. And then further restriction. I mean, they might want to quit after seeing so many restrictions. No, no, they won't. So the thing is that, yes, this is all the flexibility and all the types of restrictions that you can choose from to implement. Obviously, source IP and MFA both are very, very important. We always put it there for anyone who's, connecting to our resources in our company. MFA, obviously, it's a must thing. And then source IP for critical resources you want to connect to, then you have to connect just with that particular source IP. Suppose you just went to a restaurant for 1 hour, but you're still working. Now you cannot connect from a restaurant, which is a unprotected network, to our AWS company resources, right? So you must add a source IP for all the virtual machine access and all any service access for the company. So we went through all these, but then there are add additional permissions. If I click that, so okay, so that's again the whole step. If you want to add addition, so remember that I added this for just the EC2 or virtual machine. This is all about just one service. There are 100 plus services in AWS. Suppose within the same policy, you want to choose yet another service and then go through its actions and list and describe, and then you go for third service. So it could be one comprehensive custom policy covering whatever the new employee will be connecting to. So suppose the new employee will be connecting to EC2 instances or virtual machine. He or she will be connecting to storage. He or she will be connected to maybe databases, maybe virtual networks. So whichever service they will be connecting to, you keep on adding those services and then choose what permissions among within those services need to be given to these guys, and then save this policy and map this or attach this policy to the user of a newly hired employee, right? So I'm just giving an example of one EC2 service that suppose they will be connecting. The second one definitely for desktop support would be IAM itself, that if obviously they will be creating users. So then you go ahead with the list. Now you get the idea already that uh, within IAM, what do you want to allow them within? So read what they can read, what they can tag, what they can write. They can create users. So suppose I go for write and there's a create. Oh yes, they can create group. They can create a role is a bit more complicated. So administrators can create that, but it's up to you. They can change password. They can create access key, add user to the group. So it now becomes a bit easier to understand then. But they can delete role and user as well, up to you. But they can create user, and you can go through all this, and you get the idea very good now, right? So within resources, they're saying that whatever you selected above, so you can still specify group resource ARN for the add user to group and one more action. So uh, you can restrict access to those areas or limited access could be given. But now I hope we get an idea about all this custom policy. Now I'm going to go ahead and click tags. We know how to add tags, but so I'm just gonna go ahead and review. And in review, they say that why don't you just put that name of the policy? So suppose it's desktop support. That's it. Desktop support, actually policy. So you would know that this policy is going to restrict them and give them very limited permissions to do anything across AWS, right? You can give a description here as well, and the summary is all whatever you have selected. And then we can create a policy and see. Okay, create policy here. Then I'm going to just click that button.
So do we have an option to copy an existing role and then modify just some permissions?
Mm, existing role or policy?
Existing role and then just modify some.
So this is a role. If you have created a role here, normally it should show an option for any existing role. So suppose, and it's going to be, it's supposed to be here and create a role. If that option does not come here, obviously this means it's not supported. But with CLI, yes, that role can be copied as well. Custom trust policy, AWS, so whatever roles are already there. So I have created actually one role, and there were some default roles. Oops, there were some default roles here. So the custom role that I have created, if it shows copy, otherwise I haven't seen that before here, that it allows copy of an existing role. It should, but it's a pretty complicated thing, though. There could be a possibility of a mistake as well. So for permissions, yes, clearly there's a copy, but for role, I have to check. I think in CLI, yes, they should have, but not here. So, unless they have added page size 20 no. Yeah. Uh-huh. If I go manage, rules anywhere, set up a certificate, trust anchor, subject activity profiles, create a profile, but no. Create trust anchor. Trust anchor refers to the trust relationship between roles anywhere and your certificate authority. Yeah, that's related to specific certificate authority related role. Yeah, so it's not showing, but I think it should have. So can we may use copy existing roles in AWS in CLI? Should have how to make a copy of AWS IAM role. Oh, there you go. So need to make an identical copy of AWS IAM role. Yes, but AWS should be saying that. How do I zoom in? This is third party saying that. So yeah, but obviously third party would tell us more. But if I go here, it would just show. Oh yeah, that's CLI command. All right. Yeah, so it is a yes for CLI, but for GUI, no. As we don't see that. Okay. I could just put that search there because it has all the links, or obviously you can also Google that. But if I go back here, I'll just add it there. IAM role. Can can we make a copy of existing roles? And well, that's a Google search, but obviously we could have done it anywhere. Um, the answer is yes. Okay, let's go ahead, guys, and here policies. So yes, we have created a custom policy, and it you can see that it appears like this: desktop support policy. If I click plus sign here, whatever we did is in the JSON code as well. That whatever we have restricted, whatever we allowed, and yep, so JSON code is there. If you are working more on JSON code, you can always copy that or edit that from here and then make changes or remove some lines from there. So it can resolve that way as well. And obviously, we already know that how to assign that policy to someone. You just simply click that and then it will be attached to the user, the desktop support policy, which is pretty restricted right now. But obviously, we have to do a lot of homework on this to be to have a perfect policy that we can make. All right.
Sir,
So yeah. Mhm.
sir, when you change your pointer, so just let us know. Okay, I'm at the.
So I'm just going to yeah, we were talking about policies here, and with policy we went for custom policies, and with custom policies we explored a lot of options there inside custom policies. We created that policy. Now how to attach this policy, then that's pretty straightforward and easy to follow, right? Now within the policy, that's it. Either you have built-in policies or you can create your own policies. But that's where AWS and Microsoft Azure differ to, to huge level. I mean, like I'm still amazed that Microsoft did not come up with a custom set of permissions other than just three services. They still, it's been 4 years I've been showing this AWS to students. While I was looking at Microsoft, they came up with many other things, but this is something that I'm truly amazed at and disappointed that Microsoft did not come up with a lot of these custom permissions for all the policies. When you see that, and those who have gone through this Azure course, you can just check that again, how good AWS is in this. Okay, so other than that, there is identity providers. Identity providers, that's also in AWS, in Azure, and it is also in Google Cloud. So have you considered using AWS IAM Identity Center? Now, identity providers, what is this? Use an identity provider IDP to manage your user identities outside of AWS, but grant the user identity permissions to use AWS resources. Now, this is so a basic example of that would be that you are having AWS cloud subscription for your company, and you want someone from another company. Now, that could be Facebook, that could be also Salesforce.com. Maybe you have some contract from Salesforce form. So salesforce.com people, and those contractors need to connect to you. Now, for that, suppose there are maybe end users and you're offering something very cool in terms of the services here. And sales, there are 500 employees of salesforce.com that want to use that custom software that suppose you have built, and those employees want access to that custom software, right? So 500 users want to connect to your AWS custom built software. If suppose that's the scenario, right? Now, what happens is either you can create those 500 users here one by one, or obviously through a script, or you can actually trust. So AWS will say, hey, Salesforce.com, I trust your authentication, right? I trust your authentication way. And if your 500 users with users and passwords log in, and you say, yes, this is our user, your authentication system confirms that. So I will trust that. And I will not ask these 500 users to again put their username password here and then use my service. I will just let them, trusting your authentication method, I will just let them connect to my service without again putting their username password, right? So that is called then it or that is one of the processes that happen in AWS identities. That is also the same for Azure identities as well, or identity providers, that hey, if we want lots of users to from another company to connect, instead of creating their on user accounts again. They're already created here. Why should we create here again, right? So and then they have to log in here and there. So in order to avoid all this logging again and again, uh, you have to create a collaboration between another company or another employee, and that could be Toronto. Suppose there's a Toronto branch, and those guys there, maybe there are 10,000 employees there. They all want to use your cloud service that you have created there. So obviously, you cannot create again 10,000 users, or it's not going to be productive. Or technically, you can, but it's not going to be very productive. So then you can just simply check their process of authentication. You can make a collaboration between AWS and whatever system. Suppose it's Microsoft here, Microsoft Authentication that you have put here. So obviously AWS knows about what Microsoft protocols are used for authentication. Kerberos is basically it's Kerberos in the background, which is widely used by many companies, which is just a ticketing based system for authentication. And it's pretty secure. It is considered very secure to know if user and name and password is exactly ours or is it someone impersonating. So AWS would just simply trust that, but it's a bit of configuration you need to do on the AWS side and a bit of configuration you need to do on Microsoft side for them to understand each other, to receive and exchange information about the users that have been authenticated here, and then finally they can connect to some resources outside of their company without giving the password twice, once here, once there. No, just once here, you log in, that's it. This is also called SSO, single sign on, right? I have configured that for, my company is totally online, and there are few services on the web that we have purchased. So those services need to be, there's a, desktop or there's a ticketing system that we purchased. So that had to be integrated with our Azure environment, and also there's another seating system for pandemic, so we had to connect that. So that is called SSO, where you provide your own identity. Your users just log in once, and then they just simply use a service without logging again to the outside or other company portal. So that's pretty. So
That is
I'm just
federated
changing.
access, right? Sorry. So
Yeah,
that is
sorry, you were
federated
saying?
access, right?
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be federated access when it comes to on-premises, and when it comes to ADFS, also involved Active Directory Federation services. Servers are installed. So yes, that would be called federated access or via SAML, uh, security assertion markup language. But the thing is, across the websites, yes, we all used an OAuth and open authentication. So we're going to be talking about those types of authentication protocol. I'm switching from diagram to this AWS console now. So here, the concept is pretty straightforward in terms of, okay, users should not be logging in two times. They should be logging in one time from the source where they are, and then that's it. They should be accessing the service. So that's the overall concept. But when we go for actual providing or actual connectivity, that's where it gets a bit more complicated. That suppose it's salesforce.com, or it is facebook.com, or it is google.com. So they all have a bit different ways to connect to your authentication provider. So well, here first it says, have you considered using AWS IAM Identity Center? So identity providers, they are putting these services, whatever it's offering, into another under the new platform, or not platform, under the new name. AWS IAM Identity Center makes it easy to centrally manage access to multiple AWS accounts and provide users with single sign-on access to all their assigned accounts from one place. So they're saying that we're moving all this to this new service name here. With IAM Identity Center, you can create and manage user identities in IAM Identity Center, or easily connect to your existing SAML 2.0 compatible identity provider. So they're just saying that we have moved this, or we are moving this service there. Before we click that, so I'm just going to click that add provider. And if I click the add provider, now they have mentioned one more thing. I'll just cancel that. They have mentioned one more thing: multiple AWS accounts. So this is actually AWS connecting to AWS, right? Before I was saying that it's different companies. So yes, that they do already. They're saying here, but even multiple AWS accounts, you have, and maybe I've discussed that before as well. That why would you want to have multiple AWS accounts? Because one AWS account, suppose this AWS account is dedicated for just development work or testing of the virtual machine. But there's another AWS account, suppose the company opens and attaches another credit card to that, and that AWS account is for production environments. The most critical data that they have there would be on a totally separate AWS account. So suppose a big company has 10, 20 AWS accounts for different type of departments, for different branches, for different types of software, whatever their separation of administration need is. But if you want to manage multiple AWS accounts, then also IAM identity center or identity providers will be easy for. So now I'm gonna click their add provider button. So we are on the add provider screen where it says, hey, who do you want to connect to? Who do you want this AWS to connect? Establish trust between your AWS account and a SAML 2.0 compatible identity provider such as Shibboleth or Active Directory Federation services. When it comes to, I just created that diagram for Federation services. This is if you have that local branch here. Um, I'm opening, MS Paint, and I'm creating another one. Okay, so here, suppose this is our Toronto branch, and then you have this, you have a lot of physical, virtual machines deployed here. There are file servers, there are web servers, and there are maybe 10,000 users in this branch that are coming. It's a big one. So and those users would be using outside of the company. Um, Services as well, web services as well. So for that purpose, you have to create Active Directory Federation Services, ADFS. This is the domain controller. That's a security guard here, or the username passwords are authenticated first here in the local branch, local server. Uh, now, if some users want to connect to a service that is being provided in the cloud. So in that case, suppose it's AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, but you have some web services or web applications configured here that the users want to use. So for that, then you have to make a SAML 2.0 connection here, where it needs to have certain authentication and critical information of the connectivity and the identity providing server in an encrypted way. You need to have that information exchanged between AWS and AWS. So ADFS, what is this? Active Directory Federation Services. What is the purpose of this server? A user, suppose there's a web application and its URL has been emailed to all the users in the branch. So suppose the URL starts with https colon slash slash and then the whole url.com or something. So the user clicks that. Now this resource is outside of this branch, right? So as soon as the user here clicks this, it tries to go outside. So ADFS detects that, oh, okay. And it already has that communication with AWS or collaboration has been done already, that if any link for this application is clicked here, then the user's connection will go through ADFS. So what ADFS does is it checks that, oh, is this our user or not? So it checks back with Active Directory. Hey, Active Directory, you have all the users and groups information. Can you check this is our user or not? Active Directory says, yes, this is our user. So the information goes back. ADFS then creates a token for this user, puts information of this user, puts information of the network of this user, and then send that token to with encrypted information about the user here that, hey, our this user wants to connect to your this application, and since we have this SAML based collaboration already, so can you allow this user to connect? And AWS checks the token with all the encrypted information about the network, and then it allows the user. So what happens is this user just simply logs in one time, puts username password here, and ADFS just does the cross checks. User has clicked the link after username password putting there. User has clicked the link. Now that whole confirmation is going on there without using, user has to put the password again. The whole information goes up there, and then AWS allows that user to connect. So ADFS provides single sign-on as well, but you have to make that collaboration. You have some on-premises servers, then you have to go through the configuration steps to connect to AWS. So both, so the users on in on-premises branch can connect with just one time entering the username password to an outside application. So that is called SAML 2.0 connectivity of the users to AWS. So that's one way to provide identity. Yeah, you were saying?
SAML, what is SAML, sir? You did not explain
So
SAML.
yeah, so SAML is a security assertion markup language. And let me just quickly, yeah, sure, explain that here. So SAML,
And FADF, what is that? Vibration something.
FAT, ADFS, or
ADFS, yeah.
yeah, I was just explaining about ADFS, that it offers SSO or single sign-on, or the user once puts the password, username password only once to connect to go outside. So user logs in from this branch, right? And then he or she doesn't have to give his username password again to connect to this service, while this is another company AWS service and this is another company, but user has to just put one time username password and then connect to a service that is outside of its environment. So that is ADFS provides that kind of single sign-on. Single sign-on just means that you just sign in once and use multiple services, multiple applications without signing in again for each application. So that's what ADFS provides. So AWS wants to connect to ADFS, then they have to do some go through some configurational uh, information implementation. What about SAML? So SAML is Security Assertion Markup Language, is an open standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between parties, in particular between an identity provider and a service provider. Okay, so it says here, if you want to exchange, so if I go back to the diagram here, AWS wants to exchange or offer or give its security information to this branch. So this branch is, suppose there are 10,000 users who wants to connect to its services. So basically what's happening is this branch is providing its security or exchanging security information with AWS, and AWS is providing its own security information. Why? Because they want to connect with each other. So for that, AWS will authorize connections from here by providing its own username password that, hey, you want to connect to us? This is a username password. They say, you want to connect to us? This is a username password. Or this is IDP. This is identity provider, and this is the service provider, SRV. Now, what happens? Identity providers have users who want to use a service here. So they still need to exchange some kind of security information to trust each other, right? So all the 10,000 users need to use a service that is available here. So identity provider needs to provide some kind of security information to these guys so they could trust, yeah, the 10,000 users are coming, they're coming from exactly this branch. They are not hackers coming from somewhere else pretending to be these guys, but they're not actually these guys. They are here to steal our network information and then take down our network or just steal our data, right? So AWS has to know some kind of security information from here so it could trust these guys and detect or identify these guys that, oh, these guys are coming from this branch. Okay, it's not some impersonators or hackers, right? And then it provides service because it's a service provider. It has some service that users need to use, right? So if I go back here, I'm going back to the page here. Security Association Markup Language is an open standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between parties, in particular between an identity provider. In our case, it is the Toronto branch, right? And a service provider. In our case, we're pretending it is AWS that is providing some services. So SAML is an XML-based markup language for security assertion. So the thing is, there's a security document that you exchange, and that document is added uh, by this branch about AWS, and this branch also provides a security document that is added here. So they both know each other's security configurations, and with mutual understanding, they can exchange data between each other. So SAML is the way for two companies to exchange their security information so they can connect to each other. So that's what SAML does, right? Uh, but okay, so I'll just put to that. And if we go ahead, yeah, so obviously, if the whole configuration needs to be done, then you have to have one branch somewhere and ADFS installed, deployed there, and then you can connect from that ADFS to AWS. But that's where you start from AWS here, right? Then there is OpenID Connect here as well. Establish trust between your AWS account and identity provider services such as Google or Salesforce. So that was my example that you want from cloud to cloud connectivity. Uh, there's AWS Cloud here, and there's Salesforce.com website or Google.com website of a company, and companies 500 employees or 5,000 employees want to connect to your AWS. So then you go for OpenID Connect because that's how many companies connect to each other. So what is OpenID Connect and how to connect, suppose AWS to Google? So first of all, if we go for, I'll just put some more info here, SAML, but OpenID. So if you want to connect with it, so if I go for Salesforce.login, right? Salesforce, it's a pretty famous website that is American-based cloud-based software company headquartered in blah blah blah. It provides customer relationship management software and applications. So it's customer relationship management. So it provides businesses to big companies, big organizations, right? Uh, and people purchase that software, companies purchase that software, salesforce.com software to run their companies and deal with their customers, right? Now, if you want, if you've purchased a subscription in AWS and you want some of the services of salesforce.com to be added here, so or basically you're connecting the two sites together. So whatever users are here can connect to AWS and then use its services. So if you want to do that, then first of all, OpenID Connect is the authentication protocol that majority of the sites over the internet use, right? So OpenID Connect and learn about OpenID Connect. So I'll just grab for, so what is OpenID Connect used for? OpenID Connect is a simple identity protocol and open standard that is built using the OAuth 2.0 protocol. It enables, so what does it do here actually? It enables client applications to rely on authentication that is performed by an OpenID Connect provider OP to verify the identity of a user. So an application to which thousands of users are connecting. So application wants to know, are these thousands of users connecting to me are actual users or hackers coming here and stealing my data or destroying my data? So the application needs to know who is connecting to it with what kind of authentication, right? But then it says that it is based on OAuth 2.0 protocol. It is also, if we go for more detail there, OpenID versus OAuth, simply put, OpenID is used for authentication while OAuth is used for authorization. Oh, so there's a difference. Authentication, hey, are you my user or not? Are you this company's user or not? Authorization is, okay, you are the user of this company, but I don't want you to use my color printer. I can let you use my black and white printer, but you're not authorized to use color printer, right? So OpenID is authentication while OAuth is authorization. OpenID was created for federated authenticated, meaning that it lets third-party application authenticate users for you using account. So yeah, it gets a little more complicated, but the thing is, obviously the websites use these protocols and cloud service providers use these protocols to connect with each other. So that's why we need to know that, because we're going to face that in the production environment, that which protocol does what and why do we even use it. So there are many questions here. OpenID lacks user authorization data such as permissions and focuses primarily on identity assertion, which is just get more information about the user. SAML is an identity data exchange and is very feature rich. So they're just giving some more differences between that. But overall, what we need to think, what we need to understand is that with the help of OpenID, uh, two different company domains and sites can communicate with each other because they all follow or accept the OpenID authentication protocol when they are changing information over the internet. So that is OpenID. Okay, so here it says establish trust between your AWS account and identity provider services such as Google or Salesforce, right? So this means that there has to be a step-by-step documentation for if you want to connect from AWS to Google. So if I go for another documentation here, and that is how to connect AWS to Google. If we just go for that, because there are so many documentation in Azure as well, how to connect Google to Azure, how to set up IAM federation using Google Workspace. And Amazon has actually provided that, which is pretty cool. How to set up an IAM federation. So this is also federated, like from Google, you're connecting Google to AWS. Suppose one company has purchased Google Workspace and they have thousands of employees there and they want to connect to AWS. So AWS provides then a lot of information about this, that how authentication really works, and it doesn't provide authenticates user. So yeah, that's a full map. And then they actually start showing what to do on Google side. You have to purchase that license obviously first, um, and then collect some metadata or data about Google's security there and protocol information, and then provide it to. And that's the same page that we were seeing that you want to connect. Then you can connect this way. So Google has provided some pretty detailed step-by-step documentation. Oh, that's a big one. I'll just put it as a reference that if you think that your company should be connecting to um, another company, AWS should be connected to Google or should be connected to Salesforce, then what kind of process they have to go through in order to trust each other and let users on one side use the services on the other side. So that's a pretty long document that shows step by step how configuration is done. So uh, I'll just put it as a reference there, that how to connect AWS to Google Cloud. We can say Google Workspace. And this document shows, that's pretty long one, but we should get an idea from this that if you want to connect, then step by step you want to go, this is what you can follow. Well, guys, this is 6:51 right now, so we have covered some part of IAM here, and we will be going through all the features, and there are some more labs coming. Wherever the labs are possible, I'll be doing more and more labs, and wherever there is theory and labs are not possible, so we're going to be discussing it with diagrams. Uh, After IAM, we will be actually moving to EC2 instances, then storage, then networking, then databases. So there are many, many big topics coming your way. We'll be connecting on Tuesday. That was not actually my plan. I was just sticking on Saturday, but yes, I do agree that this is the way that we can cover more. So let's connect on this Tuesday from 7 to 10. So after, coming from office, teaching, so yeah, I'll be not as fresh as I'm now at that time. So let's see how it goes. So we'll connect this Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we're going to continue with the labs. So this video will be available in this chat after, I think, half an hour, right? So, okay, guys, this is it. Have a nice weekend and repeat all the labs. And if there are any questions, let me know. So,
Thanks, Amir.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll stop the recording.